When Concord went in the transfer portal, it triggered a lot of speculation that Ohio State would be among the many, many upper-level teams that are trying to get starting quarterback, at least candidates, out of the transfer portal. That hasn't happened so far. Ohio State has not been tied to, in a real way, to any of those guys visiting. A lot of them have started committing to other programs around the country. And I asked Ryan Day today for our signing day press conference here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center whether, what is Ohio State's plan with that? How did he look at that, and what does he expect? And he pivoted right to how excited he is about the competition that could develop here between Devin Brown, who's going to be the unquestioned QB1 for the Cotton Bowl, Lincoln Keenholz, who is not ready for that yet, but who they like long term, and then Aaron Noland, who signed today and is a 5-star quarterback coming in. Stephen, are you surprised to get to this point that Ohio State didn't look more seriously at bringing in a transfer quarterback, or maybe wasn't more aggressive in doing whatever it took to bring somebody in?
No. Partially because the quarterback field wasn't that impressive. There's not Justin Fields in the portal, so that's part of this. But also, we've talked about this time and time again. This is why they recruit the room this way. Because what if you're wrong? Then you can correct your mistake very easily because you have found other options. You have a former top 50 recruit. You've got a top 200 recruit that you're super high on who's probably only rated that low because he grew up in South Dakota. If he had the development of Texas or Georgia or California, maybe he's rated higher. And then you got a 5-star dude coming in here from Georgia playing at the highest level who had 10,000 yards in his career down there at Georgia, who played with a tight end who's already on your roster. So guys are high on him. One of those guys is going to be a hit. You're expecting, right? You're not going to be wrong 4 times. One of those guys is going to be your guy, and now you're going into an offseason where you can spend the next 9 months figuring out who that is, maybe even going to the regular season still figuring out who that is because you're not worried about one loss killing your season. Plus, it's an easier schedule. So, no, I'm not shocked that a school that's recruiting quarterbacks this way and isn't either it's this guy or nobody didn't feel the need to go out there and find somebody in the portal who can be a starter. Now, we'll expect them to maybe find a guy who's the 4th guy, who's maybe a Jebbia type of quarterback here, but I was never shocked that they didn't go after a bigger time guy.
I think there's a couple dynamics at play. One is that you're right. It was going to have to be a 1-year guy that was going to come in. And when you consider the fact that a player who knew he only had 1 year left, like Kyle McCord, wasn't going to stay here without full assurance that he was going to be the starter, that should tell you what any of the possible transfer quarterbacks were going to expect in terms of a guarantee. And Ryan Day clearly was not going to give that to any of the ones who were available, right? Again, if a Justin Fields was out there and only had 1 year, that sort of thing, I think he commits to those guys. But also, kind of along those lines, Ryan Day today was talking, he was kind of hedging a little bit because I think he doesn't want to ramp up expectations for Devin Brown ahead of this game. He's going to be making his first career start against a 10-2 team from the SEC that's ranked in the top 10 on a neutral field in a bowl game atmosphere. That's a tough ask for a guy first game out of the gate. So I don't think he wants to put the cart before the horse here, but he is speaking pretty optimistically about him and saying that he thinks that the fact that he's the unquestioned QB1 right now has probably helped. I think it's showing up in the practice performances they're seeing from him, Andrew. So do you think this is maybe a healthy momentum you're starting to see from Ohio State in terms of finding the best quarterback possible for the start of 2024?
I think it could be, but I think it's also way too early to say so. Kyle McCord entering the portal kind of surprised a lot of people, and we are recording this December 20th, so we haven't had a ton of run-up here. So I don't know how much positive momentum or positive leeway you can kind of have going into the Cotton Bowl. Now, I think the Cotton Bowl would make people feel a lot different about where this quarterback situation is. If Devin Brown goes out there 25 of 35 for 280 and 3 scores and runs for another 50, I think everybody's going to be feeling really good about where this program is at because, one, we've talked about this before. This program just kind of needs a win right now. This program just kind of needs to feel good about some things. And then if you can add on top of that, oh, by the way, our starting quarterback is gone, but hey, look, we have this new guy who did really well in the Cotton Bowl. That is positive momentum. So I think right now, I don't want to say it's positive momentum. I think optimism, maybe positive or, leaning optimism, whatever phrase I'm trying to say there. I think that would be kind of the way that you're looking at it. It's not there yet, but if you could get there with the Cotton Bowl, I'm curious to see what that looks like because, again, if you get through the Cotton Bowl and you look at Devin Brown's performance in that game and say, wow, that guy's really good, we are going to be feeling so much different than we would now than we would on December 30th.
We're going to have a lot more to talk about the quarterback situation going up through the Cotton Bowl. So listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you can find podcasts and get the text 614-350-3315. When we get down there and we're talking to players and we're actually getting to see a little bit of practice, we'll be texting you straight to that number from cleveland.com.